all the exciting new technology and what we need to do and how we can be safer and all the developments that we can be made, our president has tweeted out something pretty interesting. Airplanes are becoming far too complex to fly. Pilots are no longer needed, but rather computer scientists from MIT. I see it all the time in many products, always seeking to go one unnecessary step further when often old and simpler is far better. All of this for great cost, yet very little gain. I don't know about you, but I don't want Albert Einstein to be my pilot. I have a hard time interpreting anything the president says, but I don't know if this is a knock at Boeing or if it's a knock at pilots or if it's a knock at Einstein or just he's just a Luddite and it's a knock at technology general. But it doesn't seem to be the right attitude at this moment and certainly not in this hearing. I would ask a general question. I believe we still have an acting director of the FAA and an acting deputy director. Do you all find that this is a problem in trying to get advances made in this field? Has it put up obstacles, or is there a reluctance by the agency to move forward because we don't have somebody in place? Anybody?
Well, from NASA's perspective, I think we have a great working relationship with the working level people in the FAA, so progress continues to be made at the engineer to engineer and management levels at the agency. I can't really speak to higher levels of the agency.
How about from the industry standpoint?
Thank you for the question. We are part of the IPP, the Integration Pilot Program, with the San Diego team, and we've been incredibly pleased with the way the FAA has been working with us, and we couldn't have it's just going extremely well, and so kudos to them for really leaning in and engaging with industry in a very meaningful way to really try to do things right, but also try to move very quickly. And so we've been incredibly pleased with how the FAA leadership's been working with their teams to get that done very, very effectively.
That's good to hear.
I agree with Mr. Allison's comments. Under the acting administrator's leadership, the FAA has rolled out several programs, including the IPP very successfully to date, the UPP, which was recently announced, and the proposed rules that we talked about that were dropped during the furlough. So I think they're doing a great job, and we look forward to continuing to work with them.
We usually hear that they're pretty hidebound and very slow to respond, and they come along after the industry, which puts us behind the rest of the world. But perhaps maybe there's been some improvement, so that's good to hear. I have a more specific question that's related to the UTMs that some of you mentioned and how they can tie to the testing centers that exist in several states, including my state of Nevada. I know we're eventually going to develop a system that will be applicable to what I'm going to mention, but in the meantime, I wonder if you could give me some advice on what we might do to allow this to happen. Some of the commercial users, like utility companies who have rights of way on the ground, would also like to have rights of way in the air to be involved with things like remote wires that are in areas of Nevada that you can't get to very easily, or perhaps fixing railroads or pipes. Is there any possibility, working with the testing centers, that we might develop some kind of airways where the drones can go that are tied to other infrastructure projects where they might have right-of-ways?
Well, that's certainly in our plans at NASA to work with the FAA, the established test centers at Edwards Air Force Base, where Armstrong is located. We're in a restricted airspace, so a lot of our initial work happens there without the need for COAs or FAA authorization to fly. I did mention in my testimony the Grand Challenge activity moving forward. Initial Grand Challenge is planned for our facility at Edwards in Southern California, but we are looking at the Nevada test site as a potential alternative location to move some of our mobile facilities to and do some of the Grand Challenge work there as well.
So do you think that the FAA should kind of carve out or create these restricted fly zones or corridors that parallel critical infrastructure?
That is going to be something for the FAA to decide, but certainly that's within the capability of UAS to do monitoring of critical facilities and infrastructure like railroads, power lines, transportation throughways.
How about you, Ms. Cooper?
Thank you for your question. Congress directed the FAA under the Extension Act to set up, under Section 2209, a process for critical infrastructure facility owners and operators to seek no-fly zone designation. That's another provision that we're still waiting for the FAA to implement so that we can move forward and help protect critical infrastructure.
Well, maybe since they're doing better, they'll move forward quicker.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you. I yield back.